Sometimes people will get upset with each other. It's a part of life.
It could be a situation where he didn't like this. It just wasn't right.
And perhaps she was hurt when they said that.
The bottom line is people will disagree. How do you deal with it? How do you get past it?
And get back to getting along.
Whew. So as you can see from that video,
Yes.
we're talking about how to manage disagreements.
Yes.
And there's a million reasons why that can happen, but we're going to talk about a lot of it on the spice
Oh, whoa. Give me some more.
life. Yeah. So Angela, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing good
And yourself?
too. Today is a good day.
It is.
Today is a good day. I have zero complaints.
Okay.
I'm sure if I try to put energy into thinking negatively, I can find some negative, but all good. So far, so good, as they say.
It's all good.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm good. How about you?
Yep. We're both good. Then that's good.
So how do you manage that? And we're talking, why people get into an argument. If we talk about just people in general all over the world, there's a million reasons. There's an endless amount of reasons why people get into argument. I'll say disagreements, because argument and disagreement are two different things, which we'll talk about. But get to a point where they're disagreeing, they're arguing, they're fussing, they're mad, and all those things. There's a plethora that happens because a lot of people they barely know each other. They're strangers. People have different personalities. So, but in this case, we're talking about more like people that are couples or people that interact with each other and people that you would think care about each other, love each other. How does that happen? And, how do we manage that? Because the reality is that it does happen.
It does.
So how do we manage that? One of the things when we were getting into this, I put down and wanted to talk about is I think this would be the nucleus of it, and answering it. How do you even recognize that this is a disagreement? What are some factors that we can think of that's the case? Because usually we don't even consciously think about that.
That's true.
You get what I'm saying?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you want
Go ahead.
to talk about it now, but some of the factors
that you think. I mean, this is your personal view.
Right, recognizing when there is a disagreement is if someone says, well, they're going to tell you, hold on, I don't agree with that. Or you can tell by the body language when they'll shake their head, no, and they'll be like,
moving.
Yeah, and they'll start frowning like, oh, they don't, really, that face will get you.
Face caves in.
The face will get you,
Yeah.
You can just tell by looking at someone or by what they say.
You should.
Yeah.
If you've known them long enough. And
what has been your experience in recognizing it?
When it kind of goes from a comment, and I don't think either party sometimes recognize they're about to do this, but especially the one that may be even initiating it. But it's usually, okay, there's a comment like, oh man, we need to straighten up. That's a comment. But then when they go on about it, and then now you have to retort, and she has to retort, or I have to retort, or a person has, now that might be signs. Okay, it's sign we might be getting into some kind of disagreement. Yeah. I may say, well, we did that yesterday, or let's do it tomorrow. We talked about whatever. Now we're in what you call a disagreement. And if it keeps escalating, it turns into what I was saying earlier, in my opinion, it turns into an argument. And then if it keeps going, it can turn into a straight out shouting match, fussing, and just not be good. And that's never where the area you want to get to ever.
Exactly, because nobody's listening at that point. It's just purely just arguing with no no resolution.
But you got to recognize some of the commonality of it. So you know me and how we operate, me and Angela. What are some of the top 10 things? And you know how we roll. There's a guy named Tim Lott. He wrote some top 10 reasons why couples argue. And number 1 is relations. When there's a big disagreement about relations. And there's not nothing I need to give you details or explain, because that's self-explanatory. Now, here's the thing about that. What's it all about depends on each individual's thing. So that's a private matter. So we're not going to get into the details, because it could be a million reasons around it. But that was one of the number ones that was mentioned. And the challenge could be just having the conversation about it. So that's one. You got any thoughts on?
Well, I would say, and you got to think too, is it more the man or the woman?
I think it depends on the person.
That's true.
Because I think I've seen in relationships, just watching things, on interviews where I was watching, I can't remember the judge show, not that I want to mention it anyway, where this woman took her husband to court because he wasn't
putting out.
He wasn't.
Okay.
Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
But and she thought he was on her cheating. You see what I'm saying? Even though that wasn't the case.
Right.
I can see how the mind.
Well, I can say too that there could be so many different reasons why there could be an argument. Like you said, there's so many different reasons why, but that's one of the number ones, which is. And
we'll get into some more now. Before we get deep into it, or you continue, Angela, I want to mention that the reason why this is one of the matters is because if you have a partner or this can even be a friend, whoever, and y'all are having that kind of communication, you're not going to be able to get the work done to stay focused on your goals, whether it's losing 10 pounds, 70 pounds, all these things. If you're working in your environment, even if you are doing it, the people around you can be a distraction. So you want to be able to create and have and understand your environment. You want to we talked about it in one of our segments, not have these obstacles.
Exactly.
And having disagreements and arguments and all that can affect this, which throws you off of your game for physical.
A peace disruptor.
Peace disruptor.
That is a peace disruptor.
Let me pull out my peace disruptor. And it is the peace is disrupted. What's number 2?
Number 2 says tidiness and cleanliness.
Yep.
Another peace disruptor.
They say tidiness and cleanliness. Well,
but
we both
you know
clean.
what?
Well,
the argument could be there. Oh man, wait, not argument. The disagreement with that is one person could be clean up more than the other one.
It could be, but I think about it. This is what people have to think about when they start getting to these disagreements and arguments. You think back when you first was in, you knew this person and y'all cohabitated. Those weren't things you saw in the beginning. Why all of a sudden?
Oh, people can hide that.
Yeah, but even after you nobody's dumb. After you can only hide that for so long.
That's true.
So, yeah.
So I would say in that regards too, we all grew up a certain way. Some of our homes were so clean, and some of the homes wasn't as clean as the others. So, I can say this too, that if there is what you call it, an unyoke or unevenness in regard to that could be definitely a disagreement, because that person might see it. What are you mad about?
Right.
This is nothing.
They're not seeing what you right.
Like, or else a person like, man, I've been leaving my shoes out in the middle of the floor since I was a kid.
My shoes ain't bothering nobody.
Yeah, they're not bothering nobody. I like them right there.
All right, here's how. Okay, you want an example? So okay, you mean people argue about shoes? This is how it goes. Could you please move your shoe? You left your shoes down at the bottom of the stairs 10 times. Okay, I'm gonna move them, Angela. Or I'm gonna move them, Chris. Whatever. Then it goes from like, wow, okay, really? They've been down there 3 days. You see that started.
Or they're like, why couldn't you move them if you got a problem with
Your
it?
hands broke. Not as you see, not admitting they well, somebody bust their ankles. But here's the thing: how that is not, because these, you gotta remember, these are common argument starters.
Yeah.
Someone that maybe both of them let's say both of them are kind of orderly, but one may be more orderly than the other. Because this is the facts, and this is mentioned in that article. Nobody's exactly the same. Nobody is, no matter who you are, you're not gonna find somebody say my cleanliness level is at the exact same thing as Angela's. That's ridiculous.
Yes, and when you were a kid, disagreements with your parents with how that room looks or how you left the kitchen.
That's right.
After your mom or your dad cleaned it up.
That's right.
There could be a disagreement.
Yep. And speaking of that, it can be speaking of kids, because we have them around, grown adult, and we may have oh man, so and so need to clean up. We may get an argument about that. It cannot even have to be directly us, because you have so many other people involved. The goal is to recognize that stuff and try to squash it, avoid it. My theory on it is try to avoid it, because it's just not that big a deal. But that is a common one. Mm-hmm. Here's a funny one, but this is one that people don't talk about. But man, when I saw it, I was like, wow, false memory syndrome. What does that say about false memory syndrome, Angela?
It says many arguments are not about the facts of what happened, but how it is remembered. Everybody mythologies of the past in order to put themselves in the best light. So when it comes down to trying to work out what went wrong when you had a disagreement, it becomes very hard, as each party uses imagination to supplement memory, indeed create memory, as therefore you can never quite agree on common facts. This is rich territory for conflict. Big time.
Yes.
Big time.
Oh yes. And I'm glad that's that, because I used to think I was crazy. I'm gonna be honest. I have a disagreement, and it's the subject matter at that point doesn't even matter.
That's true.
How I remember it, how I know I saw it. I'm convinced.
Or how you heard it.
How I heard it, or think I
heard it, or thought you heard it.
And then when I say, but yada yada yada, Angela. Sometimes it depends. Angela might say, and then sometimes you're like, no. You said yada yada yada. I said yada yada. And you wait, what? No, you did not say yada yada. And then sometimes we get to a point where we want each other to say exactly yada yada. It was yada yada. Remember? So you wasn't listening because you didn't say yada yada. See, now we're getting into the minutia of it. That's
you putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that. You let put words in my mouth. I didn't say that. Or wait a minute. Were you even in the room when you were talking?
But paying attention.
You weren't paying attention. You're not listening to me. It's so much. I'm just saying that and that happens a lot. I
thought I was crazy, man.
We all do that too, because the way that we say it, and even if we said something and especially when you know what, I did say that, you kind of feel a little, man, I did say that. Mm-hmm. You feel a certain kind of way.
Convinced in their mind.
When you convinced in your mind that you said it a certain way, or you said something, and then you ended up, somebody, let's say they was recording it, or somebody else was standing right next to you, say, yes, you did say that. You would either, this person or whoever it is, would get mad and upset. Because it's like, wait a minute, you're trying to put the fact that in a better light than what the person's telling.
Now, that would be nice to have a person around to repeat it. But here's another thing. That has never happened where somebody say, you told me they did say something and I didn't hear it right. But what I have had told to me, I'll be honest, you got to accept this. This was years ago. So it's not something that's happened recent, but it's been years ago and this is how you know you slowly have to improve yourself, because when I started here, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust that, and I've gotten way better at this. You were talking about childhood. In childhood, how I communicated and how we communicated in my house was perfectly fine. Once I got married, and then as we had kids, that operation of how that worked wasn't conducive to this environment.
I put my feet down.
She put her baby feet down. But what started to happen, especially as the kids got older, and they say, "Man, it was the tone." I was like, "What are you talking about? Tone? What are you talking about? Tone? What are we talking about here?" And then you had them. Back in the day, I thought it was ganging up on me, but really, it's just, hey, it was a consensus. Like, it's not so much what
See, your mom agreed with me.
So that is something, because I want the point to be heard.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even if I'm dead right, I could be right as rain. The tone can be a distraction.
Exactly.
And it's not easy. It's already not easy. It's like, it's not easy for me to admit, yeah, I need to adjust that. In some cases, the reality, we all do. But I know that mine's was something, because again, I know I have not only a deep voice sometimes, but I can have especially if you're in a disagreement, you don't even recognize it. And that happens to a lot of us. Some people voice go high pitch, low pitch, just get loud and emotions, and you don't even realize it. But that's something we all can be self-conscious of. I know I've worked on that. But that's the challenge, right?
Yep.
That's what we was talking about. What's the challenge?
Yeah.
That's the
also,
challenge.
too, in our situation, you grew up with your brothers.
That's the family I was talking about.
And you guys had a way of communicating.
That was normal.
Guys.
Yep.
And I grew up with my sisters.
Yep.
And we had our way of communicating.
Oh, man.
So,
I've gotten a glimpse of that. That is interesting.
I would say this. The way we communicated, you was not going to win the argument at all. No way. And no way, Jose, were you going to win an argument with the way that we put it down in the Collier household.
That comes, what you just said, that comes to number 4. It says, number 4, messing with the cook. This is what my advice to let the cook do it their way, even if they're very, very wrong. You rather let them live with the fact that it's very, very wrong than feeling the raft. It's not worth it. That quote unquote disagreement / argument / theory is not worth it. You don't want it. And let them just keep putting too much salt in it. That's a figurative thing. When it's talking about messing with the cook, it's talking about giving your input or insight, which could be extremely helpful in your mind anyway, or extremely beneficial, or maybe even from an observer's point. But once you see you got to let them go ahead and keep putting salt in there.
Yeah. Also, too, I just want to say this. Growing up real, I'm not saying that it's not always about winning the argument. But
not with me.
It's not about winning the argument.
It's about fun.
The most important thing, guys, is the fact that you've come together and you agree upon something. You've made a reconciliation of whatever issues that you're going through. That just never happened. Back in the day,
yeah, it was about winning.
Yeah, it was about winning the argument.
Winning
back in the
it,
day.
right. I used to think it was some kind of school,
right.
Something
I'm right,
had to do
and
with
you wrong.
Yeah, like we was in front of an audience and like, I'm gonna prove my point. Not knowing that, bro. What are you doing?
And I think with you, Chris,
what are you doing?
Because with you and your brothers, you were very sarcastic. Y'all had a very sarcastic way of talking. And I responded to every one of those, which I shouldn't have, because some of that was a lot of it's joking. It wasn't really,
a lot of it's
nothing
just
to respond to,
right.
But I did because I took.
You know what it's like? A lot of it is personality. So
right.
In my brain, and I think in all family, just the way our family operated, it was just normal conversation how we operated, versus someone else saw it as an actual. Oh, they're sarcastic. That's I could be. This is what I found out. I could be listening to somebody, and they are serious about something. They're just talking. Well, and Angela's learned this about me. To cope with stress and nervous and things that stress me a little bit, I might smile. I might even chuckle, but I definitely will smile. My smile can be perceived as a smirk. That smirk can be perceived as sarcasm, or someone trying to be funny or not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
But it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It's the same way I have someone in our house, our son, where they cope by just going silent. It could be irritating to the person that wants to have the conversation, but that's how they cope with it. Unless there's another alternative, that's my cope. So that's part of my. I still kind of do that to this day, because I'd rather do that and I'd rather smile and let it, instead of me getting angry.
Right.
Because me getting angry ain't gonna get nothing. This could make things way worse. So, and I'm even okay with someone accuse me of being sarcastic or not, and I'm not. I know I'm not. I'm upset. I'm stressed. I'm bothered. But that's how I try to keep peacefulness in my brain, by doing like. That's how I react to it. And so, I guess she's still trying to figure that part out. But back in the day, I didn't do that, or I would say something very tough, mean, because hey, my feelings get hurt. I'm gonna hurt somebody else's feelings, and you didn't care about. You love a person, but you're immature, so you don't know that you're not making things better for yourself or for that person. Yeah. And I can tell you, it's a million trillion miles different. And that, like I said, I've learned a lot of times when Angela don't even know, there's been a million things that, and I'm sure it's the same with her. I know it's the same with her. Yes. Little things that we all, have our pet peeves about, ain't worth talking about. Ain't gonna mention it, ain't gonna say it, ain't gonna do it, because it ain't worth it. Let them cooks keep cooking. Exactly. Like Angela, you was doing something today. And what you did turned out to be amazing, by the way. But you were doing something today that old me would have probably said something and tried to inculcate something, and nothing. But new me, because you learn from experience and realize stuff ain't even work. What are you doing? And sometimes you just need to get out the way and say a word about nothing, because it ain't nothing to say nothing about. 6 talks about, if you have young people or kids involved, sometimes that can be a factor with, especially in relationships where back and forth with the kids. I've seen that be a big problem. Yes. Because they don't realize, you love your kids, but anybody knows that when you get in a relationship, married especially, you're one now, and so you do put your kids as a priority. They're in the front, but you don't disregard each other in that process, which can happen. Yeah. Also, it's important to listen to each other, knowing what my opinion, or me knowing your opinion, and come together and not letting that kid see any disagreements that you guys are having in front of them. That is so important. Don't let that child get in the middle of your disagreement. And they will test it. They're smart. They will. Don't say it, but they will use it to their advantage. And even the big one. So like you may think, oh, you're talking about a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or a teenager. No, all those, yes. Don't get even little ones, even the baby. But even them big ones, like they get in their 20s, 30s, as they move away, whatever the case. Even still keep your head on swivel, because they can be like, mama, because you're always gonna be their mother and father. Exactly. So that's something y'all stay locked, man. Interior design, which means like how stuff look around the home and stuff. Y'all need to get that worked out quick. You don't want to get an argument like, I think we should do this and I think we should do that. Let the woman. I let her. No, please, because what happened? There'll be an argument, because I'm telling you. Now there may be some situations where a guy has the eye or something, or but that's rare. Or it could be where we're both got good eye. Both people. Now what I do is I'll make a decision. I say, what do you think about this? Do you like this or do you like that? I try to be balanced with it. Otherwise he'll tell me to do what I do what I do best. Yeah. He's good with it. So it just kind of we'll work with it. But I already learned a long time ago, even if I had some kind of gift of it, I know if hers is better. I've seen that. Of course, the common one, which I thought would be the big one, is it talks about number 8 is the money. Yeah, I actually thought that was gonna be number 1. Yeah. but it's in there. But we just had a thing talking about that don't make you happy. That don't sign nothing. It's a sustenance thing.
But it says who earns most, and if you earn 5 times what your partner does, should you split it evenly with them? Answers on a postcard. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, just come together and being mature about, money.
Yeah.
Decisions about money.
I tell you, this is what about money. And this is from the beginning to eternity. It can be as smooth as you want it to be, or it can be as bad as you want it to be when it comes to money. If money don't make the situation bad, it's the individuals involved. So that's really the best way to see it. If it's a big thing about it, it's because the individuals involved has made that.
Exactly.
Relatives, it can be a challenge. People you grew up with, your friends, your family, your brothers. For me, it's more brothers or sisters. Realizing that you don't want to have them all up crossing over into your relationship.
In your business.
Yeah.
So basically, I would say in regards to my relatives, I know my especially my mom, my dad, they pretty much treat you like their son. But when your mom and your dad do the same thing, your brothers, they treat me like so. When you're treating each other, and we're talking about, I guess if when you're married, but when you're single, when you have the respect of your family, and that is very important. You know what I'm saying? That is so important. And you talk about disagreements when you're growing up with your brothers and sisters and you used to the arguments, and that still, normally when you get older and stuff, some of that dies down. But if you're at a point where you're not speaking, that could, depending on what's going on, you may want to try to, resolve that, because I'm telling you guys, life, when you are not on speaking terms because of a disagreement, something that can be resolved, you want to rectify that, because if something happens to the either or whatever, you're going to regret not.
Oh yeah.
You're going to regret it. So.
But the key is to try to recognize those things early.
Yes.
Try to smooth them out, or try to help each other through them. Keep the right attitude about it. One of the things is, if you are in the middle of something, now you personally have to decide, this is each individual, when do I talk about something or when do I listen?
Yes.
Because that can be an argument within itself. Again, sometimes the whole subject of the matter goes away. Now you're fussing about, man, this person won't let me talk, or this person, just let me talk, or this person talking too much, or this person ain't saying nothing, or this, and that's an argument within itself.
That's true.
So being able to communicate the talking, try to, even in a disagreement, being respectful.
Well, when someone says this, Chris, we can agree to disagree. To me, that's a way of saying, let's just end it here. Let's make it peaceful. I'm gonna think the way I think, you're gonna think the way you think. This is just gonna keep going on and on and on. But if you say that because you're trying to put peace in there, would you bring the subject back up for discussion?
Backup. I don't know about back. It depends on how hurtful or how interesting the subject was. I try to avoid bringing stuff back up personally. I very rarely bring something back up now that I think about it. If I'm bringing it back up in my mind, especially at this age, time, it bothered me badly for me to bring it up. It bothered me, but I try to avoid it because it's not really worth it. To be honest with you, most of the time it's not worth it. And then if you try to listen, this is my advice. If you try to bring it up and then it's still a thing, at that point you just gotta, let it go and help the powers that be help you navigate through it. Because sometimes, even though you got people that do love you and that's an interesting thing, sometimes you just gotta let that ride out. Because sometimes, this is what I see, sometimes people, we talked about this before, sometimes a person may never verbally say, oh, I messed up on that. They're not gonna say, I know I'm not always gonna verbally say that, but one thing that we can do, or I can do, is show that I did feel bad about that. I want to make a peace with that, but I don't have to verbally say it, because sometimes that's hurtful enough to try to make a person admits to that. You gotta let it go. You got to at that point, because it's a sore subject. Now, if it's a sore subject for you, it's obviously sore for the other person as well.
So basically, managing disagreements mean that you're going to make peace with whatever, what's going on with whatever party that you're dealing with this. You can be at a agree to disagree moment, or you can be at a time where you're saying, you know what, I need to go and talk to this person, and I'm going to be a listening ear, and I'm going to make peace with this.
Yeah. So just to kind of close out, to keep love and understanding involved.
Yes.
Just know that in relationships that's important. Even in friendships, even in family members, if you try to say, okay, I'm going to show an example of love and understanding, and try to have that be a factor, it'll help avoid a lot of arguments and disagreements. Set an example of that. That's my recommendation.
Yes, I'm with you on that one.
So we'll end it by saying we love you guys.
Yeah, and make sure you got that listening ear.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. We appreciate everybody's support. Make sure you go to our site, www.spice.com. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.